I want to thank Hashem foremost, and firstly, and lastly. Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Just wait. Isn't that nice? I should enjoy it. Money. See that, like you're nice, and I just throw you out. Like, get out. Where's your environment? I love you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so we're trying something a little bit different. I'll tell you what the goal is, right? I'll tell you where the idea came from. I think many of us, struggle or strive to somehow feel connected to Hashem, to feel like what you've learned somehow goes inside of you. That it's not just as Elisha's father famously said, in one shear, out the other. That we like learn Torah, and we go here the next year, and we hear the next year, we hear the next year. But what passes through? And it's not even just a question of the intellect. It's not a question even of just like what do you remember. It's what of what you've heard gets inside of you. What touches your heart? What affects what you do? So the idea of this this little exercise is that we want to try and kind of work on talk about different skills that a person develops, so that they take information and then convert it into something that will change how you feel about that particular issue, or will change your heart, or change your attitude towards your, or most importantly, that will make you feel closer to Hashem. That will make you feel more connected to Hashem. So what we're doing, we ask everybody to cooperate as much as possible. Each of our speakers, all three of our speakers, okay, she's gonna, they're gonna speak for about 20 minutes or so. Okay, we're a little behind. Then after each speaker, we're gonna have about 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, and they will tell you what you're going to do with that time. That time is for you to somehow employ the techniques that they've been speaking about, and use those techniques to become different people, I guess. Okay, so with that as the introduction, we'll let Miriam begin.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay.
I don't have much to say after such an introduction. You said it all, Judy. But I thank you very much. You explained it and described it, and it's beautiful. Thank you. And I want to just say that I'm disappointed in the name tag that I have, because Logan, you have one that says hungry. And that's why I wanted it. If we just could give each other a hug, I could go home now. That's like would be more important than everything I want to say. Oh, okay. And seriously though, it's hard for me to be serious. I try very hard on serious to make Tshuva. Usually doesn't work, but I'm working on it. So excuse me now. No, I'm not working that much. To thank Hashem that we're all together, that He brought us together to another year, and hopefully we're going to learn and internalize what we're learning in our hearts. I want to thank Judy so much for putting this together, for bringing us together, and for your holy helpers for helping you, and for your tireless and endless hours of work, of phone calls, of brain sessions. There's another word for brain session. Doesn't sound.
I just want to focus for a minute on
Holy help and helper.
And organizing it, shopping, setting it up, people spend time being here and setting up chairs. People spend time making flyers, people publicity, everything. There are a lot of people who got a hand in this project. I
Yeah, but you did this 24/6. Okay. So, okay. And I want to thank you, Judy, for your tefillos, that today should be successful. So what is your definition of success for today? Let me take a guess. That each of us, as a daughter of Hashem, should feel his love for us. And each of us, as a sister to each other, should feel the warmth and kindness and love we have for each other, for example. And that we should learn his Torah and his mitzvahs and feel them and do them and become part of it. So I want to thank all of you who are here, my holy sisters. We're all here for the same reason. That's for the bagel. Oh, that's, no, I have to admit that was a thing. But we're here. No, actually, that's okay. We make a bracha. It's kosher bagel. Hashem wants us to be happy. We're here to come close to Hashem by learning and by doing his ratzon. You notice I say the word holy a lot. That's because today is a very holy day for all of us holy sisters that are here. And may it last through the whole year, the whole holy year. Like yeah. We all want to do Hashem's will. We all want to come close to live the life of a Jew. Not just on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You know, there's a concept of 3-day-a-year Jew. Ever hear of that? Ever hear? I'm first an American, then a Jew. You know, when I was growing up, I didn't know which was first. What do you think? Am I first an American or am I first a Jew? I just didn't know. But then Baruch Hashem led me to get it straight, I hope. And we don't want to be just that. We don't even want to just be a Jew for Shabbos and then all during the week we're running, working and doing and doing. Where's Hashem? But we want the whole week to be invested in Shabbos, to yearn and love and want Hashem. And you know, there's 6 days of the week, not counting Shabbos. So there's the first 3. That's the bracha of last Shabbos, and the next 3, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the bracha of upcoming Shabbos. When's the dividing line between them? Tuesday night. We got over the 50% line, right? We have more behind us and over us. So what does my sister do when she remembers every Tuesday night when it gets dark? She claps 3 times because we're not close to each other. That's how you should feel. Never want to meet her. She lives in Aryeh Leib Smilchensky. Wow. Anyway, to feel Hashem, he's iti, imadi, etzli. He's with me, he's next to me, he's in me. And to feel him. The daughter of the Baal Shem Tov, whenever she would make a decision to do something or not, she would think, is this going to give Hashem nachas? Is this his ratzon? That she would do it. And if she answered to himself no, then she wouldn't do it. Now, a neighbor asked if his son could sleep in our sukkah the whole week, because they don't have room for him, 20-year-old son. Immediately, I said no. Then my husband said, well, he has nowhere to sleep. Maybe that's not Hashem's ratzon. Maybe I should say yes. I don't want to hear about that, but maybe. Can I have a vote? It's hachnesas orchim, but then I can't join my sukkah. Is that being selfish or is that love? I mean, I love Sukkot. You don't know me. Sukkot is my favorite time of the year. I get chills when I think of Sukkot. You will not recognize me in Sukkot. I eat up my Sukkot. I kiss it. Well, Sukkot, is a hug from Hashem. What's a kosher Sukkot? 2 walls and a drop. Here's your first wall. Here's your second. Here's your drop. That's not a hug from Hashem. What it is. Sukkot. I even loved the Sukkah when I lived in America because I wasn't in Detroit or Manhattan or Manchester. I was in Hashem's hug. And now, double whammy, we're in the Sukkah, in Eretz Yisrael. So what, should I let him be in my Sukkah so I can't even go in there? Or say, excuse me, can I come in? Is it nice, me and him in the Sukkah? I don't mean at 2 a.m., but let's say 10 p.m. Anyway, anybody have any advice for me? Well, Hashem help, I really want to do what's right. I really do. Where? Outside or in the Sukkah? Oh, okay. Okay, that's an idea. I didn't think of that. Uh-oh, we're afraid what you keep going to say to do it. I know you're on. Yes?
It's not
You mean one night from 10 till 7? That's very good. That's very good. Thank you. Anybody else want him for another night? Okay, thank you. Okay, now listen, I have like 7 minutes left. So how do we know what to do? How do we know what Hashem instructs us? By learning his Torah. Hashem's will and that's the manual of our life. How can we make it alive? How can we make it relevant to me? For example, we're supposed to eat 3 meals on Shabbos, right? Shalshudas including. We learn that the Gemara of Shabbos, the Rambam, far from that. When Shalshudas comes around, I'm like not in the mood, I'm full, like leave me alone. But it's a mitzvah. So what do? So we learn that we ask Hashem. It's very simple. Daven for it. It's not rocket science. Say, Hashem, I learned Shulchan Aruch, Rambam, we're supposed to have 3 meals on Shabbos. Would you help me? Thank you that I eat 2. Help me to want to eat the 3rd. Help me to actually eat the 3rd. Help me, please, to be happy and sing the heroes. It's like when the holiness of the sunset is descending and the Shabbos is ebbing away. Rava de Rava and Ratzon. Please help me to do it, please. So we daven and ask Hashem to fulfill his Torah, to fulfill his mitzvahs. Hasidus was born by the Baal Shem Tov. One of the main reasons was to connect our mind with our heart. As it says in Devarim, it's not enough to know intellectual pursuit. Ever hear those professors, they were learning Gemara and spoke on Shabbos, Shalom. We don't hear about that so much anymore, but we do have professor of Talmud, like to see. But bring it down to our heart. It should be passionate to us, that we should love it, that we should feel it, that we should eat it. We should eat it. We should eat the sukkah. We should eat it. We should love it so much. That warm feeling in our heart. So Rabbi Nachman teaches us, and this is what Judy asked me to find. Boy, I had trouble finding it, but got it down on paper. Tov lasot me Torah tefillah. It's very good to make from what you learn a prayer. The vacation is funny to beg Hashem. She's Caleb, help me to fulfill it. Help me to have that 3rd meal and to enjoy it and to sing zeros. What Rabbi Nachman taught were deep secrets of Kabbalah, very, very deep. But that was not his main focus. He said to do and to fulfill the simplicity. That's what I want to do with your students, my dear children. Like he quoted Pirkei Avos, Lo ha-medrash ha'ikra v'lo ha-ma'aseh. The main thing is not the learning, but the doing. We should all be so good to do. So how can we do? Up in my head, I understand. How am I supposed to do it? I ask Hashem in my mouth. I say, Hashem, help me to fulfill what I just learned. Help me to eat that 3rd meal. How about the one that we're supposed to be happy on Shabbos? That's a tall order. After all, the sadness and heaviness starts to float up like around 10 minutes before candle lighting. That sounds familiar to anyone? Ever happened to anyone? Ever not? As we light, as we in Shabbos, the Shayna starts to go up levels and levels from the ground, higher and higher, and our simcha can make that happen. Sometimes, more than sometimes, it's not so easy. As it's written, so in a hope, simcha gedolah b'Shabbos, tarnei al Hashem, to just enjoy Hashem's presence, and laharbot b'tanugim, to enjoy Shabbos, eating, drinking. When Rabbi Nachman taught this to his student, Rabbi Nassim said to him, now you have something to be sad about. And he read his mind. He was thinking, oh, another reason to be sad on Shabbos, that I have to, that I should. And that's what the Torah teaches us. Go to Hashem and say, Hashem, I learned we're supposed to be happy on Shabbos. It's not working. I have it in my head, but not in my heart. Would you please help me? Help me to be happy on Shabbos, to daven, to ask, to pray for it. I learned. Now please help me. Please, please, with a cherry on top. Please help me to be happy, to forget all my problems, to count my blessings. Help me eat 3 meals with joy. It's good for digestion. Fun, yummy food. To sing Zemiros with joy. Like I have not a problem in the world. I know anyone here could list me a problem, a list of 10 problems. I have my own. Only 2 years. But on Shabbos, we have such a joy. What does Hashem say? This beautiful song, the Vilna Gaon saying something very similar. Hadyas, you know it, join me. Hadyas bin Yisrael, v'yaskin b'simchas ha'tayra, kol shavrin bo'omen, tzva yatzalei, chazu, chazu, banai, 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 chaviva. Look at the Jewish people rejoicing on Torah, on Shabbos. Hashem says to his whole family up there, look at my dear children. They're forgetting their problems and they're busy with my children. We have a tefillah right there. Help me to forget my problems and be busy with your joy. Now I'll give you an example. It's sort of personal, but it's okay. We're all friends. Yeah, we're all okay. We're friends. It says in Yandi's famous and Bishtacht's Nefesh, Tov lo tishazochi lomram ad shisteliv. It's so good to pray to Hashem with such a feeling. You start crying. It's sort of like automatic. It's like natural. It's like open and vulnerable and close and like easy, and it just comes. Well, I'm not a crier. Well, rather in the past, I used to not be a crier. Coincidentally, my good friends, it's not coincidental, because there's no coincidence. But I saw friends, either consciously or subconsciously, who cry a lot. Because I so much wanted it. Did I feel? Yes. I checked with a friend who's very smart. She said I have feelings. Did I feel? Yes, but I didn't translate it into tears. So now I asked Hashem to fill this mimer to cry during prayer. I asked him for around 40 or 50 years. I'm an example of not giving up. I am. Around 2-3 months ago, I started crying. Now I'm like, Holy Magal, I can't turn off the faucet. I don't know. But the kids are looking at me. Mommy, you feeling okay? Bubby, you're crying. Do you need tissue? Do you have a headache? Oh, it happened. So, for Erev Yom Kippur, Shofar tells us, father, mother, bless children. And they cry to Hashem that the children should be happy and healthy and fruitful. So my friend Cervela used to tell me how her father would cry when he benched each of his 13 children with a bracha that was specific, unique for each one. I said, I want that. So I'll keep you posted if it really happened. I've been asking Hashem since last Erev Yom Kippur, please, this Erev Yom Kippur, because you know, it says it in the Shulchan Aruch, just want to fulfill your Torah. And I'm dry. I want to feel, I want those tears cleansing like a river, like a massage. And I want to cry when I talk to you. I want to pour out my heart, my inner feelings, insecurities, my struggles, even my successes. I just want to feel so confident and so close with you that it would cleanse me so much. Please, Hashem. So this are little examples of how we can turn Torah into Tshuva. And how are we doing for time? Because I got all mixed up, and I'm like the Kohen Gadol, I'm scared. Wrap it up? Okay, I need a little wrapping paper. Okay, so anyway, it goes on. I'm going on, but I'm skipping. I'm not going on. I want to be so open and close to Hashem that I can let down my defenses and cry. Again, I skipped the third meal, Shalashudas. Again, I felt a twinge of jealousy when I saw her. This is my topic to discuss with Hashem. What's going on in my inner life? Help me, Hashem, to eat 3 meals of Shabbos. Help me to be happy on Shabbos. Help me to shed tears when I pray. This is a work of a lifetime. It can take place on the hammock in your porch or in the kitchen or on the bus to Tveria. This is our lifetime conversation. Please join me. Please join me to make the Torah that we learn prayer. You can choose joy, tears, shalashudas. choose your own personal state. And it's as easy as opening up our mouth like that. Not working. Hands alone, reach your out. And he's there. This is like music to his ears. It's like it will melt his heart. He's there to help us. Let's draw down our mind, our intellect, into our hearts, into our passion. Our prayers. So we're going to have 5 to 6 minutes of just close your eyes. You know, you could do this in the middle of a bus and nobody will even notice. You can actually shake the heavens and the person next to you won't even very good with the telephone. Sheva, really, I want to close to you. I want to cry. I want to fellowship. Nobody knows. Walking down the hotel. If I come close to somebody, I say, "Oh, really? You really want to help me? Oh, thank you. Thank you." I'm really good with this. That's one reason I should probably the main. So before we start our 5 to 6 minutes of asking Hashem in our own language, it could be in English, it could be in Russian. Okay, it could be in French, whatever where we, you know, Spasiba Kharasha, Do Svidanya. And now we're first going to do, it's going to be 5 minutes, and it's hard to do more than 5 minutes the first time. Then we graduate to 6. You know, it's like exercise till we get up to 1 hour. But meanwhile, for the other 2 minutes, we're going to get up and move and do a dance. Your part of the song is la 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 la. Can you get that? Let's practice. La 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 la. You're great. Well, you catch up fast. So if you could stand up and just stand and just move around where you are. You don't even have to move chairs. You can hold hands if you want. And it's la 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 la. We learned in your Torah to keep your holy Torah. Help us to be happy on Shabbos. To eat 3 meals with joy. And to shed tears of hope and joy. Beloved daughter, we're all his beloved daughters. So thank you now. Want to close your eyes, want to lie down, want to sit. Ask Hashem, make Torah. I want to fulfill what I learned today, yesterday. Help me to do so. Talk about whatever's on your heart. You're listening, waiting for your open promise.
Anyone who's still keeping your tequila, amen. Great. Feel it. I'm going to add another layer to this approach of integrating our learning. Because I'm sure all of the input, there's a lot of content. Getting ready for Yom Kippur, it's like you could say even heavy. There's a lot of content, which is amazing and inspiring, and can be a lot. And what I was inspired to share with you along these lines of figuring out what to do with all of this. What to do with it, what to do with this really precious, amazing gem of a time that we have before. So another sense, you're speaking a lot about what to do, which is to speak and to pray. So I went more in the direction of hitbonenut, which is to contemplate, right? To go inward in a thoughtful way, not necessarily speaking. It's another angle, and this comes with learning. One of the things, there's learning all the content, and then there's learning how to be a vessel for it and receive it. So one of the practices of hitbonenut, how do you get into a clear space of really contemplation inside of your mind, of seeing your thoughts and seeing what's going on the inside of the self. So the first step is to breathe. As simple as it sounds and is, it is the basis of life, right? The beginning of life of any human born, the breath of life is blown into Adam in the first place, and each one of us and everyone that's ever lived, that first moment of life is a breath where we come to life. And returning to that place of the breath can really return us to a really deep place in ourselves, of even just getting to know who we are, what's going on inside of ourselves, how we are interacting with the moment and with the information that we're getting. So for Yom Kippur, even I was thinking about this, speaking of people want to know, I was thinking about it, that the thing about this day, of all days of the year, this day is like packed with tefillah. It's like, if you really go, it's a thick machzor, very big. One day, right? 5 tefillahs, as we know. And again, every time, going through the slichot, and it's like, in a way, when you actually open it and see, you're like, wow, it's really this much. It's like really a lot. Okay, so that there's content there, and there's however much we're able to get to that is amazing. And then there's us breathing. There's every breath in between. There's breathing before you start the shachrit, in between shachrit and musaf. after taking a break, that 20-minute break between Musaf and Imply, to take moments there and breathe and go into what is the breath about. It's not just for breathing's sake, that happens anyway, as long as we're alive, but to breathe, to really bring ourselves to a place of quiet. Right, to bring our place to a place of quiet, because really our mind is non-stop chatter. It doesn't stop. We can't stop it even if we try. But we can make more space and clarity in there, and come to a place with really come to a place of actually having some control over our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, even going into that place of being able to recognize who we are and react to it. So one teaching I want to share with you comes from Rabbi Biller from Oregon News. So it's talking about this place of hitbonanut, of hashketa, coming to quietness in prayer. And basically we're meant to create a condition so that deep places in our psyche, which are dark and covered and uncovered and need to get uncovered, that we can go to that place. And then the idea comes from the pasuk, or zarua letzadik. Or zarua letzadik means to plant the seed of a seed of light is planted for the tzaddik, right? So there's a soul inside of each of us, as we know, and the soul is life, and it's 100% connected. It's the Pedal Kavibal, it's a piece of Hashem, is completely infinite and connected, and yet that's the thing that's often covered up that we don't see or hear. So the quiet, coming to this place of quiet, allows us to see it, to recognize it, to notice it. And in that, coming to that place of quiet, we can come to this place of us ourselves choosing to plant seeds in that place, coming to a place of quiet, breathing. And everyone can, consciously feel free, where we are all friends here. Take a deep breath, and you take a deep breath in your nose, and you let it be long, and you let your out breath be longer than your in breath. And when you when you let the breath out, the out breath, it's not something that we're used to doing, but you let it out really all the way. So you think you went all the way, there's more. See if you can push all the air out. And then there's a little pause, which is natural, and then back in. And you can practice while I'm speaking. We'll take a moment when I finish to practice a little bit. But I'll still share with you now the ideas a bit more. So coming to this place of more quiet by taking the moment to breathe. What happens if you close your eyes and you breathe? What happens if you start breathing? The thoughts don't stop, but they slow down. They start to clear out, especially if you don't engage with them. This is part of hitbonanut, is learning to look inside and notice, okay, I'm thinking this, that, I needed the bench and my kid and my son and all the things coming there, flying through my mind, all the different things. I don't know, whatever it might be. And instead of engaging with them, you just see them and let them go by, and you keep breathing, and they go by. So you're as possible as it is to be objective. There's no word in Hebrew for objective, only subjective. So we are, experiencing our experience no matter what. But as much as possible, look at your thoughts without going there, and breathing. By doing this, taking a few minutes, take a good few minutes, not in the middle of a class like this, but really, when you get home, take 5 minutes, take the minutes to breathe, and let it go by. And you'll see it becomes less. They start to clear out. Instead of 20 thoughts a second, it becomes a bit less. And as they clear out, you can, with this kind of as much as possible objective perspective of looking at the thoughts of what's coming in, we get hints about ourselves. We get hints about our neshama, because our neshama is there wanting us to notice, but it's covered up by all of the, we get very busy and we get very traumatized and we get very, all kinds of things that take our energy and they take our focus. But the truth of who we are is something deeper. And when we can take the moment to breathe and go a bit deeper and see it, even just simply that, just looking at it and seeing it, we're already in a new place. So this comes up in Rabbi Nachman's teaching in teaching of Rechov Yerushalayim, where he says there's the whole idea of looking for good points, which we're all very familiar with, which is really beautiful and good. And the pasuk that he brings from Tehillim is says you contemplate Litbonen, which is from Bina, this idea of Hitbonenut, coming from a place of Bina. What does Bina mean? To look at it, kind of spread it out, understand it more. It's not just one little thing, it's wide and it's expansive. I understand it more and more and more. Think about it, look at that place. So when Rabbi Nachman says you're looking for the good, and you notice, well, I'm actually not so good. I did this and that, and the other. I have a whole list of things that I did wrong, very clear on that. So you breathe, you see it, give yourself a little space from it, and you contemplate it, and you think about it. Well, actually, really, I'm a holy neshama. Hashem blew my life into me when I was born. Hashem does that every time I breathe. And Hashem is giving us this gift of Yom Kippur, which is the complete cleansing of a new start, not just once in a life, every year. And we have each other to support each other. We have community, unbelievable things that are bringing this goodness in light of a little bit of reflecting on how much we really do have that neshama and recognizing it. Contemplate that a little. You look again to that place, people not tell them that you were, that place of being off and, oh, I did this and that, the other wrong. You're not there anymore. I moved myself, right? And I also can move other people by just contemplating a little bit, going a little bit deeper and remembering there's a neshama in this person. There's a neshama in me. That's who I really am. And the things that I did wrong are real and I regret them and I want to move on for them. But to focus on them my whole life, that's a very short road, right? The endless road of who we really are is an endless road. It's who we really are. It's infinite. We have Hashem in us. We have a shining neshama in us. So a little bit of contemplation allows for us to contemplate, who did I think I was 2 minutes before I started breathing and really thinking, oh, I'm so Hashem that I know. I'm actually not that person. I'm so much holier than I thought I was. I'm so much more pure than I thought I was, just by breathing, just by connecting back to our beginning of who we are. So I don't know how much time I really have, but so 5 more minutes, including okay, wonderful, great. So the other thing that I wanted to share, it's just perfect enough time. So I don't know about you guys, but I love sleep mode. Not everybody loves sleep mode, but it's like, I love it. I love the Sparty sleep mode and the songs and everything. So the topic for us is really going deeper with who we are in our relationship with Hashem. I want to found Hashem. I want to be real as a holy person in this world with Hashem. So a real way to get a sense of who we really are is to look at our tefillas and see what we're really saying. Even though we say it all the time, you contemplate what we're saying and we learn a lot about ourselves, of who we are and what this relationship is that we have with Hashem. So let me find an example here. So there's a combination of types of things that we ask for at slichot, which is to be forgiven and for Hashem to have rachmanis on us. And on the other hand, we're saying over and over again how Hashem does have rachmanis on us and does forgive us and loves us so much, and he's our father, like a father would look to his child. Look at us like that. So it's not like we're asking this crazy idea of like, Hashem, I have this great idea, look at me like a child and you're my father. That's actually who Hashem is in relation to us. That's actually what our relationship is with Hashem, is this place where we start to judge ourselves. It's way heavier than how Hashem judges us, actually, because we get ourselves stuck. Hashem is infinite. Hashem only wants good for us. Hashem only is good. It's all good. And what Hashem is giving us, the challenges that Hashem is giving us is good because it's allowing us to come closer. And we have to get through. So getting through brings me to the other idea that I wanted to share with you, which is crossing Yom Kippur. So there's this moment where it's actually like a very, very special thing to think about. It's an eitzah from Yom Kippur. Is that when we got to Yom Kippur, so there's that moment, everybody's really aware of that moment when we get to Yom Kippur and everyone's crying, right, screaming like, oh, Hashem, like a big, loud cry, right? But there's another aspect to it. What does Hashem say to Moshe Rabbeinu? He says, it's Sofa derech et Yom Kippur. He says to him, why are you yelling at me? Be quiet. There's a moment there where Hashem says to Moshe, it's not time to cry. It's not time to scream. It's not time to say anything. So this is pointing to something really deep about a relationship with Hashem. There's both. It's like breath, there's the in and the out, contraction and the expansion. But the aspect of stopping, being quiet, and breathing, it's not nothing. It's not valueless. It's actually very valuable. It's actually a very deep level of connection with Hashem. That moment. That was right before the sea split. It's not just some little random thing. Like, we want the sea to split, right? For all of us, it should happen. It's Hashem. Amen. This year, in any way, every way, anybody needs it. You, your families, your loved ones, all of us. So that moment to get there. So there is the effort, and there's the 500 pages of the machzor, which is real avodah and important and beautiful. And then there's that breath and that silence in between of waiting, because I already did cry. And then I just I'm here still. Even though I cried, if I'm crying like 1,000,000% all the time my whole life, where does Hashem have a chance to heal me and save me and bring me through? Right? It's a good question, no? So we have to breathe. We have to breathe and take a moment, even if it's in between one tequila and the other. And getting to that quiet place, so this is allowing us to tap into basically a system that Hashem created that's healing us, like a self-heal. By breathing, connecting us back to who we really are. You can say who you really are from, your adult self, of who you are with all of your purpose and goals in life and all of that level. You can take it all the way back to just being born a little baby. I'm just a human that Hashem bore into this world. Simple and pure. And the breath, taking it to that level, allows for Hashem to open the sea for us. And then you have to move again and go through sitting. There's the level after it as well. So we like to master and control situations. And what I'm trying to propose here with this idea of really getting more into the note is to sometimes let go. Let go and let the light of the greatness of this moment. This day is like the highest day of the year. Let it come into you with consciousness. It's not just letting go like, okay, I'm nothing. I'm just passive. It's not it's like an active passive. It's like, Hashem loves you so much, just sitting there breathing quietly for a minute. So I want to take a moment. I want us all to take a moment. I guess it's around 5 minutes. Okay. So we're going to take 5 minutes also now. And I'm going to give you a little way to breathe. You can do what works for you, but it's one of my favorites. It's an easy, doable breathing technique that really allows a person to relax and kind of clear out on this idea. And hopefully with some of these ideas that we spoke about, you can let them go through your mind and just try to tap into that light, neshama place in you that's so wanting to be seen and recognized and for us to be present with. So the breathing is like this. First, breathe all the way out of your mouth, all of the air out. And then when you breathe in, your nose, you count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you hold for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then when you let out slowly, let out as slow as you can. You can kind of like you're going through a straw. 8 count. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it just works that there's probably some significance, but really the idea is that it allows you to bring in a good amount of oxygen and fill yourself with that. And when the letting out of the air is longer than the letting in, it relaxes the whole nervous, which allows for this clearing. So again, it's in 4, hold 7, and out 8. And you can try to do it as slow as you can, because usually we try to run. Do it as slow as you can. And then there's a pause in between. Once you let the air all out and try to let it all out, there's always a little bit more than you thought. And then wait a moment and then do it again. And try to do this even 3-4 times, cycles on your own. And watch your thoughts. And remember your beautiful Shayna, your neshama, that Hashem loves so much. done the cycle a few times, start to go back to more normal breathing, but try to let the out longer. See as your thoughts slow down, observe them. Thank you so much.
Okay.
For a while, in that kind of way. Okay, everybody, first of all, welcome. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Let's see, to you. You know, you're sitting here number 3, plenty of chances to think of openings. So I thought of a few different openings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I said, well, I'm not sure it's going to work so well. So I'll stick with the opening I started with. But I do want to say one. As I'm sitting here noticing, each of us had our notes, right? Miriam had her notes, I had her notes, handwriting, I had my phone down here notes. Each of us, as an individual, as the notes we take, as the way we approach the world, as the way we think about it. And my idea here today is just to remind us of it. We're all individuals. And the important thing about that is that we all have our way of taking in the information, see either from inside of us, which is better, or coming from outside of us. So what I want to do in my little time that we have to go through your exercise, if anyone doesn't have a pen and paper, please feel free. I'll pass this out because you're going to need to answer some questions for me, not to publicize them, just to answer them for yourself. So there's paper here. If you don't have it, there's pens here. Besides, it's good to get up a little bit, move about. Thank you very much. Just tear out a sheet. Don't worry about it. Okay, it's over there. Come around. Thank you very much. Okay. You know, sure. You know, we're going to talk about my favorite rabbi, Bill Bobby, who wrote the series Bill Bobby Mishtalem. His name is Krauss, and he has his website that simply type in Bill Bobby, BILBABI, this plug, but anyway, and you'll be able to see let's have what is a Bill Bobby talk about this case? He said basically, here. No, I'll speak a little. Is there no mic here? There's no mic. Oh,
That's not, it's not a mic for.
It's not a mic for speaker. Oh, okay. All right, great. I'll try to do that. So the Bobby starts becoming Rosh Hashanah and Kippur start time period. I'm trying. I'm going to work a little harder, and thank you for reminding me. Or just if you can't hear me, raise your hand and something signal me. Okay. The Bobby talks about a mixture. He talks about how the world was created in the beginning with a mixture, and by the time Hashem got around to creating Adam Rishon, he was a mixture as well. What do we know about the beginning mixture? We know Hashem said, "Let there be light," and then all of a sudden, so to speak, Hashem is separating the light from the darkness. So what was light? It was a mixture of light and dark. We get to Adam Rishon. What do we have? We have Adam and Chava as one being. That's a mixture as well. In fact, if we think about it, all of the everything in between in the creation story was also a mixture. And in our lives, we have lots of mixture, a lot. And one of the ideas of that Bobby shares is important is separating out a pure idea, a pure feeling from this mixture. Why? Because while the world is a mixture, we are mixtures. Hashem is not. Hashem is echad. He's one pure being. And how do you get close to Hashem? By being similar to him. If we could find one pure point in ourselves, then what we end up having is a clarification and a closeness to Hashem. So the Bilbabi says like this. He says, most of our deeds are mixtures. I said that. They're done when we do an act, we say a word. It's not pure. Why is it important? Oh, 1 second. Okay. So we do a lot of tzedakah, we do a lot of tefillah, we do a lot of thinking, we bonus. But what happens in the end? In the end, everything is mixed. Bilbabi says everything is a mixture of good and evil, of jealousy, physical desire, craving for honor, that encompasses everything. And even though it may belong to the world of Torah, jealousy, physical desire, and craving for honor apply their rules. So in order for there to exist a true revelation, there must be one clean, just one clean. Now that's not so simple. Because if we look at it, and the reason I pass out the paper is that we're going to write about this, I hope. It's not easy to find that. If we're honest with ourselves, can we find that one clean point? Can we find one thing that we did that was without a mixed motivation? Can we find that one thing that we said that didn't have on the side? Do we find that? Can we find it? It's super important to try and find it. It's not so simple. That's all I'm saying. Just not so simple. We're told that we have to accept Hashem's kingship. Okay, but the question is, can we do that in any kind of pure way? One of the things that Bilbabi makes a big deal about is the person Gaspar. He says, tell yourself a million times, I'm a created being. I'm not a creator. This is just another way of talking about getting rid of your ego. It's just a different approach. I'm a created being. Hashem is my creator. That's part of what's making Hashem king in our world, in the world he created for us. Now, he says, make a small resolution, but something very, very deep. And know that when you find this point in your soul, you're not just finding a point in your soul, you're finding a deep connection with Hashem. You open up a pinhole the size of a needle, and Hashem will open up for you the doors of the Beis HaMikdash, so the wagons can go through. And who else is saying this? Very interesting, because I was looking around for other sources. There's a Rav who was Rechov Yerushalayim. His name is Nebin Zal, and he wrote a book called Thoughts for the Month of Elul. And he says like this, but he sort of modifies it a little bit. So while we're looking for that clean, clear, pure point, all right, he says, our sages have often noted that the expression for the sake of heaven does not imply intentions that are absolutely pure. That's very interesting. It's not a contradiction, but it's a reality. We can't necessarily get to that pure place, but we can sure try. But what happens with purity? I looked at gold. Look at gold, okay. And where's my gold sheet here? Yes. Gold, 24 karat gold, 100% pure gold is 99.9, okay? Then you go down to 22 karat gold, that's 91.67 points gold, other parts of gold, and so on and so forth, down to 10 karat gold. What happens at the highest, most refined level? It's soft. Can't be used really adequately, effectively for jewelry. It's soft, but it's very bright. As you go down the scale, it gets harder. So to the extent that we can accept the fact that we're mixtures, we don't have to, we can say, okay, that could have a good point to it, because it's a point where we are able to withstand this world and its difficulties sometimes or later. Okay. Now, Nebin Zal says, we must conclude that not only do our overall achievements consist of a combination of good and bad traits, but each individual is also comprised of both good and bad. Essentially, every one of our deeds is a mixture. But when says, therefore, man's first obligation is to increase the purity of his intentions insofar as he's able. The first step is not necessarily doing additional good deeds, but rather increase the content of good in the actions already performed. The content of good in actions already performed. Now that's a doable thing, okay? To increase as much as possible the degree for the sake of heaven in each act. So you can ask yourself, the lishmi or lishma, is it for Hashem or is it for me? Hard question. And now, without further ado, because I would like you to do some writing, do some connection inside yourself with all the things you've heard. Okay, so I have a couple of questions. Write the questions, just listen to them. Okay, take a minute. Take a minute and write down some act that you did in this past week. Anything you did. Those like take one act that you did. Could be anything. Could be the simplest thing. You can't be someone can, or do something more complex. But this is for you. I'm asking for you. Now, write down the basis on which you judge the purity of this act. Okay? How would you? Oh, I gave out here. Oh, great. How would you judge the purity of this act? What are you going to think about? Again, this is for you. I'm not going to read the witness. Okay? Think about it. Now, okay. So just to get a sense of where you're holding, where you're acting from. Even anything you've heard today, especially what you've heard today, it's fresh in your mind. How did you listen to it? How did you evaluate it? How did you feel about it? All right, now, take one form of deed for the coming year. Think of something you want to do. And strive to think about doing it to the utmost of purity. Now, that includes, very important, I'll leave you with this a little bit, that includes intention. Intention is a crucial part of the deed. It's not just doing something, it's what you're intending to do. Because we can't control the outcome of the deed. We give stock to the sun, we give charity, we do many, many things. Our intention in doing is what? To benefit oneself, to benefit the other person, or could be maybe benefit Hashem. And that is a part of that idea of wanting to do it from Hashem's sake. That's very important here, both of the talk about. And we may not think about it that way, but it's great to think about. Now, if we think of doing something not for ourselves, not for the other guy, not for the community, just to please Hashem, that's a difficult concept to grasp. And think about something that you would like to do that you haven't done just to please Hashem. And you might want to jot a few notes as to what it is and how it is that you do it. Just for yourselves. You could, what it is and how it is you could accomplish that. How could you decide on an act and decide in advance, that's what we do now, and how would you just do it for Hashem? Not for the other guy, not for yourself, just Hashem. It's very, very difficult, but I think it's worth doing, because even as Rav says, if we don't make it to the 100% more, we at least have to try. Trying counts with intention. Trying counts. What else? Okay, now, question of accepting Hashem's kingship, because there are two sides of the same coin. If we accept that it is Hashem who created us, if we can just let that sink in, then it's easier to create an intention that's just for Hashem's sake. Because after all, to whom do we owe everything? Hashem. But again, just write it down for yourself. If you think of other things, by the way, I'm open because I think I have a little time. I actually have time. I'm open to comments and thoughts as well, not just on the answers to this question, but your own comments and thoughts about anything that you've heard today or anything you've heard recently, anything that you've read. Do you agree with all this? Do you feel up to the task? Do you, whatever would work for you, that would be nice to share. Just something that we okay, and you don't have to share, but I mean, it would be great because it would be very, but anyway, okay, write down something that you thought of in terms of tshuva, tefillah, and staka that you appreciate. Those are the three things. Tshuva, tefillah, and staka, ma'avirim et roa hagzera. They take away the harshness of the decree. Tshuva, tefillah, staka. We hear it a lot. Is there anything you want to add from your own personal perspective that would make it rich for you, that would make it beautiful for you? Have you done something for someone where you didn't necessarily like that person, but you did it anyway? Have you done something for someone where it was, you were in the middle of something and it bothered you? Have you is there something that would be helpful to you to just sort of see how you could do something in the context of serving Hashem that is purely for Hashem? So those are certain ideas that I have. By the way, everyone is free. It's your piece of paper now to write down anything you would like to add to it. Yes. Hi. I'm a little confused because I excuse me. Turn off your phone, so I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay, I'm sorry. Please go ahead. I thought that we're trying to which are nice things to do, and you're doing them for Hashem, but you're also trying to rack up it. Very, very good point. Did everyone hear her? We're trying to do mitzvahs. Sure. She said we're trying to do mitzvahs, and it's a good thing to do. And we're doing it for Hashem, but we're also trying to rack up, so to speak, mitzvah points. That's exactly the point. Thank you for asking that question. That's what's making it so difficult. Can you do it purely for Hashem without thinking of a benefit, without going in, without worrying about whether you get what it's worth, without worrying about whether you'll get, whether you won't do it well enough to get rewarded for it? That's the entire point. There's a famous story, and someone can help me if I don't remember exactly the details, but there was a very, very well-known person whose name I can't think of right now, who indicated that he was going to let me get this right. He was going to help someone, and it didn't quite work out the way he wanted. So the idea was that he was going to give away his olam haba, his reward in the next world. I'll finish that story if you appreciate it. And he did. Gave away his olam haba for whatever reason it was. And he was thrilled. He was happy. Why was he happy? For the very answer to your question. He was happy because now he could really do something for Hashem's sake without the thought of it. So maybe if we can imagine literally giving away our own haba, take it, Hashem. I just want to do this one now. Think about it. If you really want to do it seriously, it's a very big deal. And that's a test, a real test of whether you can, how much you can do the Shema, what point of purity you can find. I'm not necessarily saying, oh, okay. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Alana.
Yeah, no, it's hard to say the whole of it. See, like this mitzvah, and this particular mitzvah, no reward. This particular mitzvah, I try to do that one.
Nice, beautiful, beautiful. Judy, I'm sorry.
Where, you know, someone they're making our work from Hashem, or around. Hashem works on Arlozoroff, right? So they then had different doing a mitzvah for Hashem's sake, or doing to give us a point. The difference disappeared, right? Our doing it is because we want to do Hashem's will.
Interesting comments. Go ahead.
Then don't. That was my question also.
Then don't.
Doing a mitzvah, because it's what Hashem wants you to do. What's not doing something Shema? Is there a difference between doing a mitzvah? Because no, that's what Hashem
Well, the question becomes, all right, somebody answer that. Go ahead. Say it.
Nova does.
Dova, yes, go ahead.
In school, we never. You were not sure. Yeah.
You're not told.
We say mitzvah. Reward of doing mitzvah is the mitzvah. And what is olam haba? If you say, oh, I'm building up my olam haba is being close to Hashem. It doesn't matter, that is what you know, it's like so many people use the imagery of olam haba, oh, do this mitzvah, to get another room in your house, and olam haba. No, it's nothing close to that. Olam haba is basking in the light of the Sheva. It's all for Hashem. It's all you do. It's not nothing to do with you. You're at the end of the day, what I'm giving tzedakah because what? Because oh now I'll get a platform. I'm doing tzedakah because I'm working on my olam haba. And there's plenty of people, so Chinese folk, that don't worry about their olam haba enough. They're so into this world that, well, I can't get so much stuff that I have yesterday, and I have enough money to buy all the wedding from my kids, and they're not hurting about their and they're only spiritual. So there's no question. It's all what we want. We want everything we do, we want is to be close to Hashem. That's it. So everything, I don't say it's smart, we were on it, when we say just heal it, you should feel say, well, thank you. We say you should, we give them a bracha to do another. All we want to do, all we're here is to do this. So we bask in the light of
Sure, go ahead.
My dear friend, I want to say that doing it for olam haba is already not as much as Shaiman as I'm doing it to make Hashem happy. I'm doing it for olam haba. I already have an Indian. I'm doing this because I'm
What at a time?
You're forgetting about the Baal Shem Tov story. What happened about Shem Tov story?
One at a time. Wait. Just talking.
I want to make you have Medrash. That's already, there's no India. You understand?
Sure. There's no stare here. There's no stare.
I think that's important.
The question is, why are you doing it? What you're doing is waiting for godliness in the world. And you're doing it in a way that everyone's going to benefit. Because when everybody, the person who doesn't do that, everybody in the world benefits.
No, so there's a Baal Shem Tov story that someone came to him and they stopped, they wanted him to help them with the child. I don't know the story, but basically he's like, okay, Hashem, if you don't help them, then I want you to take away my own mother. And in this course that like, so it showed you that like he would go all just to be able to help another Jew or to do a mitzvah, Shaiman, really Shaiman, that he didn't even care about his own mother. That was like the fully, so that's like really doing only what Hashem wants.
That's right. That's when we started with almost. That's the point. Can we say to ourselves one mitzvah or a number of mitzvahs or all the mitzvahs that we're not interested in any kind of benefit at all? Just to benefit to Hashem. That's it. For Hashem to have, however he has nachas from us, he should have nachas from us. Anyone else before I think?
I just want to say, like, on that Baal Shem Tov story, so that what happened with Baal Shem Tov did it, he basically changed nature And so Shemayim said, okay, well, we'll let the couple have a baby, but because you changed nature, you lose your olam haba. And that inspired in him so much joy because he just did it for Hashem, like you said. But then what happens, the next step is that he was so filled with joy that he's so connected to Hashem that he's basically in olam haba. Like that is olam haba.
Right.
They said, oh, you get it back. You got it back because the joy of wanting, it's like the factor of like that connection, like the relationship factor.
Thank you. Yeah. Beautiful.
Right.
Well, Judy.
I'm not sure what's so terrible about.
Good.
I mean, my boyfriend, my mind, he all make shots, right? You can do all kinds of things. Say, oh, what shot is Polish? You know, the BM give us two obligations: to honor Shabbos and to enjoy Shabbos. So the more cover you give to Shabbos, right? Like, oh, I bought a fish. I'm gonna here's a better fish, or I'm gonna save. I have my special, Shabbos nightgown, and I have my nicest robe, and I have my best eat, and I have my best. And you're doing all this in honor of Shabbos, and then you get to enjoy it. Like, good. You're supposed to be enjoying it. That's like the idea. What's so terrible? I'm doing it for Shabbos. I'm doing it to honor Hashem. Like, it's good. Everybody wins. Including the fish sellers.
I want to, but I think it's even more like what Chaya was saying about how come he got his olam haba back is because the fact that he didn't want to do it for the source of having olam haba. It was the actual pure, what you're saying, this whole pure place of just, I only want to do it for you, Hashem. There's like no thing connected to it. It's like very, and then from doing that pure place, of course you'll get reward, but the fact that you're not looking for that reward is like the actual reward, I guess.
Sounds like, yeah,
Right?
I would agree. Yeah. Just a little louder. I couldn't hear. Now it's in reverse.
When you are in that joy of Hashem,
Nice. Go ahead.
Like, I agree with you, but what Joel was saying, I was thinking of hard, but I think about it a little bit differently. I think it's very, very difficult to get excited about very abstract concepts like olam haba and making Hashem happy. We can't even really conceive of Hashem or olam haba, but we know that we are created by Hashem in this time, space, continuum state for the purpose that we're given to fulfill. And when we're doing the mitzvahs, we are aligning ourselves with Hashem's will for us, we're aligning ourselves with our purpose. So I just think of many things that I do, if I'm paying attention to the opportunities of mindfulness that aligns me with what Hashem. And that's very, very satisfying and very, I just find it very helpful. I feel like life is flowing the way it's supposed to, and that's the first thing. I definitely are the mix that is, and especially when you're doing it, you're aligning yourself with the Hashem's will.
Nice. By the way,
Some people go the extra mile and say things like already with the sheriff's name, like before you do a mitzvah. Like Dr. Keller tells this incredible story about in Yerushalayim, there was this, she went to get her kids cut fixed. And it was like 15 shekels, something like that. And she went to pay, and she said right there was like this tiny little shop. And he said, before you pay, there was a thing saying that you could say, I'm now doing the positive mitzvah of paying on time. Like I said to her, saying, thank you very much. And she was like, everything got elevated. She was connected to her creator by saying, you go to the store, can you imagine if you go down to Mishtalem, and then you pay him, and then you could say to him, I'm just doing the positive mitzvah, your wife told me to say this. Okay. Anyway.
by the way, what I heard here was some of the beautiful ideas I've heard in a long time, even better than in any sefer, because they came from the heart. They were processed by you as individuals in really love and the fear of Hashem. And it gave me a great joy to hear it. Thank you very much.
That was